So this right here is a Bible a friend of mine actually gave me. And back here, as you can see, I have a whole library of finance book. Since the age of 19 to now, all I've done is basically read a lot of non-fiction books about money, self-improvement, and all that stuff. And in reality, although those books have been great, after studying and learning about the Bible, I kind of figured like, yo, there are so many principles in the Bible that I could have skipped over around like almost 95% of all those books. And even that 5% of the books that gave me some extra information, in reality, they're just putting in the words from the Bible in a more easy to understand modern way for me to actually gauge what I'm reading. What I mean is there's a lot of information here as far as principles and how to actually make money. Now, I do want to clarify something. I'm not here to preach. I'm not here to say, hey, if you don't believe in God, walk out of this video. That's super mature. But I am here to just basically share principles in life when it comes to money, and principles work all around no matter who you actually are. Now, these 10 principles are things I've learned and applied over the years, and it's what helped me go from the kid that used to basically get PDFs from the internet and have to go on YouTube to listen to audiobooks because basically I couldn't afford to actually buy books, to today being very well off, having my own paid off home, having my investment account, having enough passive income to basically live. A lot has changed based on these principles, and I'm going to give it to you guys right now. And as always, guys, if you guys are new here, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you get notified. I post videos all the time on investing, making money, and also saving money and paying off debt, which is super important. And on top of that, do me a favor and destroy the like button. And right off the bat, guys, the very first one is don't love money, instead love service. And let me explain, guys, okay? There's a Bible verse on 1 Timothy 6:10. And the whole idea is basically this: the love of money is the root of all evil. Now, when your boy Tommy was fairly younger and I was trying to make money, help with passive income, trying to invest money, a lot of folks told me, you can't go ahead and chase money. That's not good. It's going to lead you right down the wrong path. But in reality, it's such a stupid concept. The Bible literally says the love of money is what leads you to the root of all evil. But money by itself is just paper. And what I've learned is that the more money you have, the more it tends to enhance your character. So what I've become is a lot more sensitive, a lot more gentle, and also a lot more given. But if I was evil in the first place, I just would be enabled to do a lot more evil things, if that makes sense. And the reason I say is you gotta love service and not money is because if you do love to provide the best service possible in whatever industry you're in, eventually the money will come to you. And the money, in a sense, would be kind of like a report card for what you've actually been doing. So don't love money. Money to me is just paper. I have no utility with more than like $48,000 a year. Everything else is just like extra that I basically make to make more money on investments to basically eventually give it all away. But besides that, money is just paper. That's all it is. But the service you give will obviously get you more money. That's the cool thing. And the level of skills that you actually have. Now, number two is, this is a lesson on debt. Proverbs 22:7 says, the rich rules over the poor, and the borrower is slave to the lender. You know, one of the first books that I read was Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And when I read that book, I was so intrigued. And I started basically to start thinking about building this house of cards. And what that means is basically, I had this whole idea. I was going to buy all of these assets per se by borrowing a bunch of money. I was going to use the cash flow from those assets to basically buy the liabilities I wanted. And you know, the thing with debt and using heavy leverage is basically, no matter how smart you are, if you miscalculate something, and for example, you have this pandemic where people don't pay you rent, or you have this deal you basically made and it didn't go that well, and now you're basically hammered, well, everything kind of goes downhill from there, and it doesn't matter how smart you actually are. It's a building a plan that it only gets better if you're basically perfect, and I don't like that. So I've learned to basically say, hey, Today, I try to only borrow money for the big things in life. So I didn't borrow money to buy my car. I didn't borrow money to buy a house because basically I saved a bunch of money for the past like 5 years. But that's the only thing I would borrow money to actually get. And it's basically a home I can afford within my budget by buying a home that's basically no more than a third of my monthly income on a 15-year mortgage. That way you borrow the money, you own the home. What you pay towards it is actually going to the actual home, and in like 10, 15 years with some extra payments, you're basically done with the property and it's actually yours. But it makes no sense to go ahead and go crazy with leverage, because people that owe a bunch of money will tell you it is not cool when all the money you get paid goes towards lenders. That's never a good thing. Now, number 3 is don't co-sign. Proverbs 22:26-27 basically says, don't agree to guarantee another person's debts or put security for someone else. If you can't pay it, even your bed will be snatched from under you. And what that basically means is fairly simple. Co-signing for someone else is extremely dangerous. If someone is trying to get something and they obviously can't get approved, why will you get yourself involved to basically say, hey, let's make this happen? They obviously can't qualify for a reason. And I see this all the time because I used to work with companies, and I saw, for example, girlfriends and boyfriends that basically go ahead and say, hey, I'm going to help you out with a car. And then to stop making payments, they break up, boom, you're liable for that. I had a client of mine that bought a bunch of furniture for his then girlfriend. They were moving in or whatever. They weren't married. And all of a sudden, things didn't work out. He owes all the money on the furniture, says, I'm not going to pay anything. And I'm like, your credit score is done. Like, it's donezo, okay? So the answer is, whenever somebody asks me about co-signing or borrowing money, for example, I always say this exact same thing. If I don't have the money to help, I say, I cannot help you with money. If there any way that I can help you besides that with money? If they say yes, if I can help, I will help. But if I can't, I can't. I'm not going to co-sign and take responsibility for anything like that. And by the way, parents tend to have a weak spot when it comes to children. But again, it's the same concept. You shouldn't be doing things that put you in a liable place for something that that person will most likely not be able to afford. I remember Dave Ramsey, his friend did that for him with a fancy car. I think it was a Jaguar that Dave wanted. And then Dave couldn't pay for it anymore, and now his friend is like looking like, hey, this is going to ruin my entire credit score. So things like that happen, okay? Now, number 4 is diversify your investments. This is massive, 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 massive. And it's basically in Ecclesiastes 11:2. But divide your investments among many places, for you do not know what risks might lie ahead. It's a piece of advice you hear all the time, but it kind of comes from the Bible, right? And the idea is, don't put all your eggs in one basket. It really is that simple. So that's why today I have money invested in this house, right? I have a lot of equity here. I mean, the house is mine. I have, for example, money invested in the stock market, but I have that money invested in the stock market divided across 5 different sectors of the market: international, American, real estate, emerging markets, small cap markets. This way, I really can't be shut down. And then even my career, I have a multitude of sources of income. This way, if one thing goes down, then not everything is going to go down. Diversification is very important. Now, it's not to say that having single-minded focus isn't like a good idea, but if you do have that single-minded focus, you have to put your eggs into this one basket and make sure you're always watching that basket, because if you lose it, you lose everything, and the risk is a lot higher there. And I'm not really trying to play that game, okay? Now, number 5 is ask for good advice from people that are wiser than you. Proverbs 15:22 says, plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors, they succeed. Now, I do want to make something very clear. I grew up around people that didn't really know that much about money. Like, honestly, my mom was great, didn't know that much about money. My teachers were great, didn't know that much about money. So it's not to say like your counselors have to be physically around you. No, you can get advice by reading books, seminars, watching YouTube videos from people that are a lot better than you. But whenever you say, I got to go through my own mistakes, it's very stupid. One quote I always use is this: I don't have to break my leg just to know that it hurts. Like, I saw you crying when you broke your leg. I'm not going to go ahead and make the same mistake just to see if it really hurts. It's a very stupid idea. So yes, asking for advice from wise counsel is also very important, but it's also not to say take advice from everyone, because again, advice is freely given, so the quality can be very off. So make sure the person you get it from or the people you get it from are people you admire their life in that certain sector. That's the idea. So I wouldn't get advice, for example, on marriage from my rich friend that has a bunch of money but has 15 failed relationships per se. I might get advice on what not to do to end up there, if that makes sense, okay? So be very careful where you get advice from. Number 6 is be content. Contentment is this very negative word when it comes to entrepreneurship as a whole, because it kind of sounds like, stop trying so hard. You're good. You made it. You have enough. Like, that's not what I'm saying here. But here's the Bible verse. Philippians 4:11-13 says, "Not that I speak from want, for I have learned to be content in whatever circumstance I am. I know how to get along with humble means, and I also know how to live in prosperity. In any and every circumstance, I have learned the secret of being filled and being filled and going hungry, both of having abundance and suffering need. I can do all things through him who strengthened me." And the whole idea behind this is basically whether you're in a bad situation, in a good situation, your real strength and happiness comes from God and also from inside you. And the way I kind of put this into perspective is basically, yes, God is always with me, but in reality, whether I am in a good circumstance or in a bad circumstance, my happiness will come from an inside point. It cannot come from those things whatsoever. Like, when I was broke, I was also happy on the journey to be where I am. And even me being where I am and seeing further along the line of where I want to become, I'm still very happy being where I am. Contentness is basically being happy with the progress you've made where you are, but also still thriving to do what you actually want to achieve and giving the glory to God in a sense, okay? That's the idea. I'm not telling you, oh, you got $10,000, stop trying, you're done there. No, you keep going, obviously, because those things make you happy. But the idea is you can't just be like, I'm going to be happy when I get to this number, because it never ends. It never ends. Number 7 is wisdom is better than money. Proverbs 3:13-15 says, "Blessed is the one who finds wisdom, and the one who gets understanding. For the gain from her is better than the gain from silver, and her profit better than gold. She is more precious than jewels, and nothing you desire can compare with her." Now, I used to honestly be one of the people that said, if you offered me, for example, rules of making money or knowledge of making money, and you offer me, for example, $10,000, I'll be like, yo, give me that $10,000 and get out of here. But today, I really do believe that if you offer me all the knowledge I've acquired so far, or for example, money, I would pick the knowledge 10 times, because the knowledge is what got me the money in the first place. And whenever you have money, everyone has money. Everyone has resources. We live in America, okay? So whenever you make money and the money leaves you, having more money, winning the lottery, winning something, having just more in abundance isn't going to help if you don't know how to manage it, you don't know how to multiply it, you don't know what to actually do with it. If you're going to fumble the bag, it doesn't make sense to actually have a bag. It's better to go ahead and basically get the knowledge first, so when you actually get some money, you build it over time, and you can actually sustain it and actually keep it. That's the most important thing. So knowledge is what I seek more than anything. And through knowledge, everything comes through, okay? Now, number 8 is clean is better than dirty. Now, Proverbs 13:11 says, Proverbs 13 verse 11 says, dishonest money dwindles away, but whomever gathers money little by little makes it grow. Now, I lived in the Bronx. So I had a lot of opportunities to make money in very illicit ways per se, whether it was through the Cash App scam, the credit card scams, a bunch of different scams here and there, and like phone scams. And whenever I heard these things, and I was like, yo, so if I do this, I can make this much money, but if I get caught, I get this much time in jail. I was like, I'm not doing it. Like the orange is just not worth the squeeze on this. Like the juice is not that sweet at all. So one big thing is, even when I saw those people making that money in very illicit ways, I always saw the money disappear. Like it just did not last. And that's the main thing. Like, it's so much harder to make money dishonestly by trying to hide money from taxes, trying to hide this, hide that. People are chasing you. I'd rather just make money little by little in a very legal circumstance and way, because it's liberating. Okay? I like honest means to do things. That's the idea. It's a lot easier. It's almost like cheating, honestly. Okay? Now, number 9 is leave an inheritance for your kids. Proverbs 13, verse 22. A good man, by the way, you guys notice I love Proverbs, like my favorite book ever. When my dad passed away, I read this book for the very first time, and I was like, yo, it's like having like a dad to teach you and guide you in all these lessons that I didn't get as a young kid or whatever. So this book helped me out a lot, honestly. But Proverbs 13 verse 22 says, a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. Now, you can kind of say, well, Tommy, that's not just money, but you can use money, you can use wisdom, you can use good labors and good services, you can use whatever it is, but you leave something behind. And I kind of see this whole idea where people say like, YOLO, you gotta die with nothing, just spend all the money, do this. Like, whenever I tend to think, and I just noticed this like a few days ago, but very wealthy people, they don't think, for example, in means of like few days or few months or few years, like I'm gonna have this in a few months. They tend to think like almost like in gaps of decades and years, okay? And it's like amazing. So whenever you hear like Warren Buffett speak, he's talking about like decades from now. You know what I mean? And that to me is very powerful. So whenever I think about what am I going to leave for my kids, and the idea is, I do agree with this like super well when it comes to Warren Buffett. He says, you want to leave your kids with enough money to do anything they actually want, but not enough to do nothing. That is very powerful if you actually get it. So it's not YOLO, you only live once. No, you have responsibilities past that, and that's why you want to leave your kids an inheritance. And it's not just money, but it's also lessons that you actually leave behind. Lastly, number 10 here. If you made it all the way here, comment down below verse. This way I made it. This way I know you made it all the way here. So that's verse, V-E-R-S-E, verse. This way I know you made it all the way to this point of the video. And also let me know which number is your favorite and which one actually impacted you the most, okay? Now, Proverbs 11:25, told you I love Proverbs. You have a generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed also. And that to me is so powerful. Because when I think about service and what I try to do, my goal is very simple, guys. I want to be the best investor that ever lived, and I want to be the best teacher that ever lives. And both of these things are basically providing a service in every single way. Being a teacher here on YouTube and sharing the investment lessons that I have and everything I've learned, reading, for example, for 4 or 6 hours and then coming out here and then giving it to you guys for free, like all that stuff is just service and service and service. And if I can help you guys, like that literally is something selfish for me, because it makes me feel so good when someone DMs me and tells me, Tommy, this information helped me a lot. It changed my life in this way. Like, my whole goal is to seek that one DM or that one like, that one something, that kind of just says, yo, Tommy, this helped. And that's what I do, why I do, okay? It's not about the money. The money just happens to come because the skills that I've generated are skills that make more money, obviously. Now, lastly, I will give you one piece of advice. Whenever it comes to the Bible, religion as a whole, not really God per se, but whenever it comes to religion and the Bible, there's always like all these interpretation and misinterpretation, and people have their opinions. People think that money is bad, money is evil. What I would gauge you to do is use your senses, use your mind, use your brain. When I was a lot younger, I would kind of take everybody's word for what it was, be like, okay, this person's word is so powerful, it had to be true. Now, like today, I would tell you this like straight off, like, don't believe a word I say. Whatever I'm telling you right now, go out there, search it up on your own Bible, go confirm it for yourself, do your research, try it out, experiment, and eventually what is true will always be true, and you will know what I'm saying is basically true. But if somebody's giving you advice and they're not willing to like show you where the things are, then I wouldn't take that person's advice. So don't be manipulated by people. So that's my whole thing. So learn to use your own brain, do your own research, and learn for yourself also. That's my advice, okay, guys? But again, thanks for watching. Whether you're religious or not, I really don't care. I'm just happy that I can teach you something here and you actually learn something. But again, the Bible, man, the living word, is super powerful because a lot of what you get in here is basically all of this, okay, right here. But I still love reading books, and I read books every single day because it is modern information in application. But principles live forever, okay? But guys, that is it for this video. Thanks for watching. As always, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you're notified. Comment down below any questions. Let me know which one's your favorite. And on top of that, let me know what other verses or stories you like in the Bible that are about money in some way. I like the one with the talents and you come back and then this one gave them this much and that much. That one's pretty used, so that's why I didn't use it. But I love that one too, okay? As always, up here is my face. Click subscribe. On top of that, over here is a video, maybe backwards. And follow me on Instagram and DM me there at TommyBryson. And as always, long-term team officially out.